Welcome to J Lowe Artist YouTube channel. Today we're doing watercolors on 300 series cold press illustration board. It's a lot of fun, it's good practice, and we'll be learning some techniques of just direct painting. Nothing really advanced or anything, but it's good practice. So come on along and do some painting with us. And remember, art makes life better. I got one more thing to show you. So I get asked all the time, how do you do flesh tones with watercolors on people? So if you're drawing people, and I don't care if you like manga, or any kind of art. If you look at a lot of comic book art, it looks very smooth. They use watercolors or gouache, and so I'm going to show you how to do flesh tones using watercolors and make it look modeled like this. So off here to the side, draw yourself a little face. So if you want to, you could do a little anime face. It's totally up to you what you do. I'm just going to do kind of a superhero style face. One thing a lot of people do is they do the bridge down the nose. Sometimes you want to avoid that. Anytime you have lines down the nose, you may want to avoid that a little bit. I like that chin. Curve it out a little bit. There we go. So any kind of face that you want to do, what you want to start out with is, and again, if you don't like the graphite that you've got in there, you want to kind of get rid of it. So this is where we're going to need to mix a little bit. So what I'm going to do is you want your flesh tones to be very light, and so I'm going to add some water first to my palette. And hopefully it's going to bead up. It shouldn't run all over the place. And then I'm just going to pull in some red. Here's a little bit of red. And remember, don't dip into your brush or into your paint if there's any water on it. Get it dry. And then I'm going to add some yellow to that. How come I can't just use orange? Yeah, because I want it more red than orange. And if I want to tone that orange down just a tiny bit, so it's not quite so orange, what am I going to add to it? Remember this from our color theory? What's the opposite of orange? Blue. So oddly enough, I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue. But there's a little bit of blue in the green, so I'm going to add just a teeny tiny bit of green. That's probably too much, but I'm going to add this up at the top. Look what happens to that. Now that orange, what it did is it counteracted with the red that was in it. And now I've got this kind of muted orange. It's not so orange anymore. Just a tiny bit. And if you think, oh, that's too brown, add a little bit more of that orangey red to it. That's what you want. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start painting, and this is going to look a little weird to begin with, but just like we manipulated our lion over here, we had some of those colors kind of bleeding down into it. That's what we want to do over here too. So I'm going to pull out some of this, and I'm going to first of all go like around the nose, under the nose. There's a little shadow under there. I know this looks a little weird, but stick with me here. There's the chin. Any place that there's a shadow, like under the eyebrow, maybe a little bit under the eyes. Under the cheek. Any place there's a little shadow. And around your edges. So a little edge there. So see how that looks kind of weird? Now what I'm going to do is I think, okay, if my light source is coming from this direction, I'm going to have a little light on the cheeks, on the tip of the nose, maybe on the lip and the chin. So I want to avoid those. I'm just going to dip my brush once in the water. And now I'm going to use water to manipulate that. I'm going to just come in here and just touch that. And look how the water just kind of blends it out. There's my highlight. I can bring some of that up into it. This is just water. And now I'm moving some of that fleshy tone. My camera is not picking up the flesh tone as well. And this is just water. I can always add more color, but right now I'm just kind of moving that up into it. So this is just clean water, and you just touch it, and now you can manipulate it a little bit. Don't go too far with it. In other words, don't rub too much. But you just want to touch the edges and kind of bring them out. And your flesh tones are very soft, very light. And then, just like we did with our lion, you're going to start adding some darker areas. If her eyes are blue, You start out with the blue and just add a little ring of blue. Start out with the ring, work your way towards the center. Don't forget a highlight in there. Anytime you need a highlight, just leave it out. Or maybe her lips are red. Just start out with a little bit of red up there on top. And again, the colors are kind of up to you what you use. There's usually a highlight along the lips. So somewhere in there, you want to leave a little bit of light out. And from here, you can add any kind of color that you want to. One of the last things you want to do is add the darker colors, and black if you need it. So, for example, the hair. You may want to say, well, I want the hair to be fairly dark. So you can go in. This is brown, and rather than do the whole hair, do it kind of like we did the lion, where you pick out little areas, and you want it to be dark. And you just kind of keep going darker and darker and darker as you need it. But don't forget the lights. Until finally, maybe you're going to add some black to the eyelashes. A little bit in the eye, might need a little bit of black where the pupil is. That contrast is just going to make things pop. Eyes are never quite white. So what I'm going to do is, because she's got blue in there, I'm going to pull a little bit of that blue out right next to the pupil. That'll make that eye look a little more lifelike. Now I'm going to put it over here. And then you just use pure water to kind of smooth things out if you like it smooth. You really don't need much paint. But that's our technique, and you can take that as far as you want it to go. Hopefully you had a fun experience today and learned something maybe, and even tried something that you've never done before. And hopefully somewhere along the way it's made your life a little bit better, because art makes life better.